everyone. Happy Monday on this beautiful August the 18th, 2024, to the Light Gate. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans at the United Public Radio Network on 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Roku, we are on Facebook, and we are on YouTube. We have a wonderful guest tonight. She is a very, very, very involved person with the paranormal and ETs. I've only known her a short while, but she's working with Marquise Williams right now, and we love Marquise a lot. And I'm excited about this. Can you tell? So I'm going to go ahead and say, Preston, take it away.
Thank you, Dolly. Thank you all for joining us on the Light Gate. I think we're at episode 69. Gosh, I have to pull that up a second. I've actually forgotten where we're at. Yeah, 69. Cool. All right. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, my name's Preston Dennett. I'm your host. My lovely co-host is Dolly Saffron, episode 69 of the Light Gate. We're super excited about today's guest. We heard about her and had to have her on. She's a super interesting lady. Lots of really cool experiences. We're going to have so much fun. And I've been limited to 5 minutes of saying hi to you folks because we're really eager to get talking with our guests today. So let me just be quick about this before I get in trouble and say hi to all you wonderful people here, such as T. Parks. What a rock star lineup, all three of you. Thank you, T. Parks, and Woo Riders Dig, and Paradox Fossils Allen. Thank you for joining us. And Lunar Dove, looking forward to tonight. Yes, me too. Paradox Fossils is from Missouri. Very cool. Hi, Insectoid. Thank you for joining us. Michael, always bringing the popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Chris. And who else do we have here? Peaches and Cream from Perth, Western Australia. We got Timoth Man. Hello, Timoth Man. Hope you're doing well. Orion's Belt and John P. Adventures. Nice.
Yeah.
Derek Mulligan and Scarlet Fire with some really interesting messages there. Thank you for sharing that. And namaste. What a joy it was to meet you. Namaste. We love
Absolutely.
You
We love you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You are absolutely wonderful. You know how much we love you. Who else we got here? Rat Food, starting at 6 p.m. Yes, we got moved an hour earlier, not too long ago, and I like it better, definitely. Who else we got here? J.R. Amadeus Schiffer, special guest Nichole Coley Weber. Nichole Coley Weber. I'll get to her just a second from now. Jim, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, and Smizmars. Okay. All folks are welcome. Mark Fiorentino. Weber and Janie Mashburn. Nice big crowd today. You guys are awesome. Hello, Sunny Burnett. It is Monday. Z-Sun Dragon.
Hi, Z-Sun.
Louise, we can always count on you to be here all the way from New Jersey. Thank you so much. And Cliff Olinger. Love seeing this regular crowd, you guys. It's awesome. Painting the Sky Kingdom. And Lunar Dove finally catching a live. Awesome. Sandra. You're becoming a regular. It's so nice. Sandra, hope you're doing really well. Bob Thorson, thank you so much for the generous super chat. It means a lot. Truly appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Dog Lego Lover, all the way from Canberra, and Pony Pong. Okay, I'm almost out of time here. I've got 1 more minute, so I'm going to go fast. Hello.
There's my girl.
Kaleidoscope Eyes. Very cool. And who else we got here? Apex and Susan Lawrence and CT Guitar Guy and Star Orchid, just because. What better reason is there? Thank you, Star Orchid. That's awesome. Tur isn't here. Excited to hear from you all. And Dizzy Lizzy from the Show Me State, Southern Missouri. And Sukhoi, 29K. Lunar Damo, thank you so much. Alan Roser and Sector 31. And I think I'm out of time, so we best get going. Let me pull up the ticker and pull up our guest's bio. Pretty interesting. We're going to have a fun time tonight, guys. We've got quite a few things to discuss: UFOs, extraterrestrials, ghosts, mediumship, paranormal phenomena, channeling, dreams, all kinds of really cool stuff. We are super honored and delighted to welcome Nicole Weber, aka Coley. That's her nickname, and it's sticking to her. They graduated from the University of Dubuque, earning a bachelor's degree in aviation management and a minor in business. Very interesting. Graduated from Walden University with a master's in mental health counseling, a 3.99 GPA. That is very impressive. Holds accreditation of counseling and related educational programs. A member of Chi Sigma Iota Omega Zeta chapter. Zeta Reticuli. No, just Zeta. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Internationally recognized for high honors, integrity, and academic success. Coley considers herself an ordinary Midwestern girl with extraordinary experiences. I love that. Around age 4, she realized she could see things many others could not see. What started off as auras around people evolved into sight into another world, the world of the dead. And as the spiritual world manifested with time, Coley discovered she was able to communicate with the spirit realm. And this was a gift that set her apart as a medium and channeler. Now, these abilities were both a blessing and a challenge, I can imagine, offering profound insights while sometimes isolating from peers and family who couldn't understand her unique perspective. Coley experiences death dreams and, in contrast, could detect the miracle of life. In July of 2017, Coley's journey took an even more remarkable turn when she became a UFO experiencer. Or perhaps just became conscious of it, because I suspect these experiences start early. But we can certainly talk about that. But in 2017, she encountered phenomena that many deem impossible, yet for her, it was just another chapter in her ordinary, extraordinary life. These experiences deepened her understanding of the universe and one's place within it, forever altering how she perceived reality. So Coley has experienced both craft and ET, markings, and a new path in life. She's been doing UFO, paranormal, and the unknown radio on several platforms, currently with Helix Rock Radio Live, and host of the Coley and Maris talk show. Maris, of course, was a previous guest here on the Lightgate, but without further ado, let's bring in our lovely guest, and we shall start having fun. I hope you're ready, Nicole, because here you are. Boom.
Hi. How are you? Oh my gosh, I love the chat too. So I love listening through. I knew you're getting close on your 5 minutes, but yeah, wonderful. It's great to be here. It's such an honor when I hear all that. I'm like, oh my gosh, but you guys, So I have to say it's such an honor to be here, and I thank you so much for inviting me.
I've been looking forward. It's an honor for us to have you as well.
Yeah, it really is.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we heard about you from I think it was Maris when you had us on, actually.
Oh yeah. Every platform that I've been on, you guys, I'll be like, Preston. Yeah. So you've always been. I call ourselves a birthday throuple, and so since we have the birthday thing going on, it was so funny. Yesterday, somebody was like, "Oh, my birthday's on May 8th," and I said, "Oh, you and Dolly Saffron have the same birthday." I was just like. Oh, how do you know that? It's like, no, it's
3 Tauruses in one room.
Yeah, look, 3 Tauruses. Watch out.
I know I'm stubborn, and I know Dolly is.
Yeah, I still am.
Not that
but yeah, no, I'm very excited to be here. So yeah, it's
very cool. Yeah, well, I'm very excited because I know a little bit about your experiences because we've talked before. So this is my favorite subject, UFOs and the paranormal. You've got a lot of stuff going on. I know it started early for you.
Mm-hmm.
So as I warned you, when you were in the green room right before the show, I like to talk about how people got involved and how it started with their childhood.
Sure.
To me, this is always so interesting. I look at all of us as kind of adult children. Whenever I
I
see
know,
them, I
right?
can't help
I'm
but imagine them
ready to
running
grow
around.
up.
Mama, mama.
Yeah, right. I mean, what better play as an adult? I'm like, it's like it really is. It gives you that excitement in life. You know, you have to have that. You really do.
Yeah. So lay it on us. How did it begin for you?
Well, as you said, when I was about 4, I started to. I guess I should kind of explain my family dynamic. On my father and my paternal side, my grandmother was very intuitive. She could like hold something in her hand and she could tell you all about that person. And her family members were very open to the spiritual side of things. Now, my maternal side, my mother's side, she was a strict Catholic, and that really wasn't a popular thing, especially when your 4-year-old is telling you that they're seeing lights, and then it just didn't start off where I was seeing like full on apparitions or whatever you want to call it. It evolved over time, but as I would talk to her about it, it scared them. It scared my dad, even though he grew up in that environment. He didn't like it. And my mom, so at one point they were going to call the priest in for an exorcist, and I said, I think we're going a little too far here. This is like before the days of the internet, so I'm giving my age away too, but I always say I'm a proud degenerate of Generation X, so no problem there. But so I used to type these things up, like in the little Apple computer, and I'd type up stories, and that's how I started to get information to people. Well, it started to, as I entered into womanhood, I'd say it really took a spike up. That's when things really started to get intense, where they were coming to me, they were wanting things, they were like Christmas presents. I remember Ken Kringle, who passed away, he wanted me to take this boy Travis, and I've always felt so guilty because I'm like, God, I can't go and I can't take this, to somebody's house. They're gonna think I'm crazier, it's like, so yeah, here I happen to be doing his mom's hair. I did go to beauty school before all the other stuff. My grandmother, it was a family business, and I was telling her about it, and I described everything. I said, hey, this is where they had it, and hidden. And then she just started bawling, and she's like, thank you for sharing that with me. And it was just like confirmation. So there's been so many things, like some people can tell when I'm able to see things. Like it's been weird. Like I've been called out for it. Like you can, so I'm sure like when you make the shift, Dolly, probably you understand, like it's like almost like you're looking past somebody, but
exactly.
It's really easy once you've done it a few thousand times, easy to shift. But I ended up joining a group with a local professor there was probably, I believe about 5 or 6 of us. And it was like basically like training. And then I also went to a medium, my aunt's friend, and she knew her name was Catherine. And that's how we figured out the channeling part. I can't say that I'm crazy about that part of it, but I just remember her, like, I was sitting across from her table and she's like, can you see Ramus? I'll never forget her spiritual guide's name. And I was only like probably 14 at the time. And all of a sudden my head was back and my eyes were fluttering. And that's what they told me anyway. Yeah. And they said that you're a channeler. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't think I like that, so I've always kind of kept things at an arm's distance, but I'm really, like, I can see things very clearly. Like they'll show me. Hearing takes me a little bit sometimes to get into the blocking out, because I have my own narrative going in my head, and so I have to learn to quiet that. A lot of times I do like dual stimulation, or I'll go through a haunted house. People think this is crazy, but I've gone through like on roller skates before. That way I can shut my brain down and I can pick up on them more clearly on what they're stating or what they're saying. Yeah. So it's, it really has, like, I have the death dream. That has like, I just remember one of the first times, this is going through my son, who is 16 now. He was just in the chat before. He's so supportive. He loves
Oh,
he knows about you guys. He's like, so who are you having on tonight? Or I said, no, I'm going on their show tonight. He popped in. Yes, I think that's super cool because he's experienced a lot of this stuff too. But so I mean, just super supportive. And he really understands like a lot of it. Now I kind of forgot where I was going with. Kind of got excited. So anyway, with the paranormal, that to me, like, I was very comfortable with that. You know, it was like, I wasn't afraid of it. You know, I get excited, like going through, I'm the one that pounds on the walls, like, come on, wake up. Like, oh, I'm going through your stuff. You know, like I've actually been kicked off of the local grips. Yep. You know who you are, that I scared people.
Really?
Because
Wow.
they said that you're very strong. But I had, you know, the confidence Dolly has with ETs. That's the kind of confidence that I have with paranormal. So I admire her confidence, and I hope that I can get to that point with ETs. Like, you know, when it comes to the like paranormal, I felt like I had it wrapped around, but I didn't so much as like the channeling part. That kind of when I say it. But
I want to ask you why. I'm gonna pin you down on that. Why? Why don't you like it?
Okay, so my aunt one time made a comment to me, and she's like, "What if they're tricking you? What if they're fooling you? What if they're like?"
Point your aunt made. She's a very smart woman. I'm just saying. I've had entities come up to me and want to talk through me, and I've said no. Sometimes they get angry and I have to push them back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the reason being is you don't have a driver's license. I don't have references. I don't know who you are. Unless you can prove that you're benevolent and that you have something really important to say, I don't want you in my head. Go away. You know?
Right.
And that's how I've always did it, because the one person that I did see channel when I was really young was overtaken by a demon who was benevolent at first and then turned on her big time.
Oh, wow.
And she was tortured by this thing. And I came to realize two things about channeling. They don't like take over your body. Okay. They go straight for your head. And they usurp you in a certain way. When you said my eyes rolled up into my head, I was like gone. That's what they're doing. They're on the circuit in your brain that has control over what you're going to say through your mind from your consciousness, and they push it aside and come through your brain. And I don't like that. It's like nobody has the right to take over.
Channeling and demonic possession are essentially the same coin, flip sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't feel like I'm in control. And when I go in there, I always am in control. Like, you know, like, especially if you're going into like really haunted places or places that have, you know, some of that dark stuff going on. I always feel, you know, I'm in control. And if there's like any channeling, or if I feel them coming too close, and they are too, people don't understand. Like I remember I was like 16 and I was working at this USA Fireworks or whatever. And it was like a tin outside, and a guy was coming through. He clearly wasn't from this time. He's looking for his daughter. Okay. He knows that I can see him. And he's like, I'm looking for my daughter. You know, he's real frantic. I said, sir, you just have to wait. The customer just pulled up outside. I'll just, you know, just back off just a little bit here and we'll talk. Okay. And so then he's in there and the guy's looking for fireworks. All of a sudden you hear this bang, bang, bang. And I knew what it was, you know, so I'm just sitting there like, the guy's like, I think that there's something going on outside. And I'm like, no, that's normal once in a while, you know. And he's like, no, really. He's like, that noise, like there's somebody. And I said, I don't even worry about it. Let's go check this out over here. But yeah, it's like, you know, they do get aggressive with, you know, are very urgent, you know, their sense of urgency. Yeah, but I do like with Brody, I guess I was going with that with Brody's dad, kind of fast forward a little bit. Before he passed away, I knew somebody was going to die. It was like somebody, I thought it was my grandpa. He just had a stroke. I was calling on my family members, like frantic. And they're like, don't, just calm down. Just calm down. And I was even putting pictures together of him, like, you know, and my aunt's like, of course, my aunt, she's like, sometimes it's, someone who you least expect. Like our garage door was going up and down, and even Billy, that was his name. He's like, did we bring something back from your family's house on Christmas? Because they're like, my cousin's going around giving palm readings, like my dad's like, it's just like a totally different family dynamic than my mom's side of things.
Wow.
And so, yeah, not even 3 days later, he passed away suddenly. And that was like, I can always tell, like, one time my best friend Bryce and my grandmother, they died on the same day, and I knew two were going to die. I don't know who they are, but I know how close they are to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I can also sense when there's going to be a birth. Like my sister was going to have a baby and she was trying. I said, nope, somebody is pregnant. She's pregnant. She's going to have a baby. Like, things like that. So is
it just a knowing you get, or how does that feel?
Yeah, it is like it's usually like I'll kind of have it. It's just something that you know what I mean? It's just like something.
Your head. You hear it and you register what's being imparted onto you, and it's like nobody told you, but all of a sudden you just know. And it comes out of nowhere, and there it is.
I've had that
100%.
Once I had a dream that my coworker Mark came. He's sitting across the desk from me. He had left the company, and I just knew that I was going to hear that he had passed away. He had diabetes real bad. And sure enough, he passed on that same night.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah,
I knew it.
Knowing is the strongest.
It's crazy though, it is.
It's really, I've learned that, or I've actually experienced it enough. I know now for sure. Intuition, that type of intuition is the strongest there is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because you're being literally given a message. You don't ask for it or anything. It just sort of comes to you. And I kept thinking, where is this coming from? Because sometimes I'll think about it. How do I know this? And it's somebody or something that's close to you is letting you know. They're just passing information along to you. Or sometimes you even walk into it. You could be in proximity to somebody and information about that person will jump all over you. And it's like, oh my God. And I do the same thing with birth and death, except now that my father passed, he comes to me and tells me it's going to happen. Absolutely shows me. And it's like, oh, okay. And then it does. And it's like the only time it got to me, he showed me my brother was going to pass. And it shocked me. And a month later, he passed.
It's within the month. That's what mine is. It's within the month. And then the closer it gets, the more you can feel like that there's a shift coming.
Yep.
So he could actually tell you who was going to pass then.
Yes. Yeah. With my brother was very dramatic. I don't know why he made it this way, but there was a room and a huge table, like medieval table and the chairs. And there were plates and goblets and settings and food. And everybody in my family was on one side of the table facing me. And on the other side of the table were all empty chairs, except the one in front of me had a place setting. And when I walked into this, I thought, it's me. And I looked at the place setting and no, I was wrong. It was my brother. And when I looked up, everybody did this.
I can confirm this. Dolly told me all of this before.
I believe her. Yeah, you don't have to. There's certain things like I know. I always say I know one of my own kind, but yeah, no, that is
the most dramatic one ever for me. Yeah.
Oh,
and
gosh.
It was my brother, so I can understand why they were. I think I was. How something's going to happen and there's nothing you can do.
There's no.
Hog in the extreme. Okay.
Yeah.
There's still nothing you could do, and I take it as an imparting to me that if you got something to say to this person, say it now, or at least convince the people around them to send messages.
Well, that's when you know who it is, because sometimes you don't. I mean, I was
at work. I didn't get that. I only knew how close they were to me, and it was like people like my best friend Bryce. He had foot surgery, came out, dropped over with a blood clot. My grandma went into septic shock. They died within a couple hours apart. Now I knew that it was close, but it wasn't like anything was expected, but I knew two people were going to go. And it's just like, you just sit like, oh God, I got that, again. And so it is eerie. but see, on the other hand of it, man, you carry a heavy burden knowing who it's going to be. It's like with me, I find out with the rest of the people, I just know something's going to happen,
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, and then it seems like whenever they pass, there's always like this 2-week span where you don't hear much from them. Like I remember when Billy, I don't know if that's like the time they go like back or whatever, but I had with him, oh gosh, I remember Brody's second birthday, and or no, it was his third birthday. I take that back. And he was like full behind me in the bathroom, and I was so mad at him. I said, "You're lucky I don't go and I take rocks and throw them at your grave." I said, "You should be here." You know, you kind of develop a morbid sense of humor. So please excuse some of this. But like, you know what I mean? Like that's how mad I get at him at the time. I'm coming up there with some rocks or stones or whatever you got, you know, I don't care. And then I was like, "You're missing out on all of this." Like I was mad at him. I told him to leave. And that was like, I think, but for like 3 years, we were so, even though he had departed, I guess I should go into this part of it. It's kind of a mysterious how we still don't have all the answers. We'll never have all the answers. I made peace with that. But right after it happened, my sister, she lives in Arizona. She's like, "Brody and you come out to Arizona, you know, just get out of the light for a little bit and, you know, relax, whatever." So Brody and I went out to Arizona. So at that time, the autopsy report took like 2 weeks to get back. So in the meantime, I'm there and I have this dream where I'm like, I experienced everything. I could tell you everything that happened. And it wasn't confirmed until after that autopsy report came back. But then, that I said somebody moved him. They robbed his wallet. I said this and this and this. I said there was somebody, and I even identified a girl who I found later. Her name was Libby Davis, and I said for answers, and I knew I saw the whole thing. And I woke up and I was like, like I couldn't breathe, and I was like, oh my gosh. So after that, and when I was thinking about this, and what reminds me is the out-of-body experiences that when we went and he took me traveling after, like we went through this, I don't know, I don't know, I'm from Iowa, so it's like everything's a cornfield, but it wasn't. It was like whatever those nice things are that they kind of flow in the wind, and like, you know, I remember flying over there, and it was peace. But I was like, man, why did you leave us? You know, like what the hell were you thinking? And so he had to go. And he had to go so I could do what I'm supposed to do. So I've heard this a few different times. Like when my cousin, she passed away, she committed suicide. And I woke up and I heard the shoe bang, bang, bang on the floor. And Andrea was like louder than me, but we kind of have a little bit similar personalities. And she's like, "Wake up." And I'm like, "Wake up. You're what do you mean? You know, what's going on? Can you believe what happened to me? Can you believe what I did?" I said, "You're an idiot. What did you do that for?" I said, "You have 4 kids down here." So she couldn't believe it. So, you know, she's always stayed close, and I've been able to communicate with her and my uncle. And, you know, in time, like I almost felt like I was keeping them like close, you know, that it was when I was ready to let go that then they were able to kind of, you know, but I was able to, I held on to him for quite some time, like in the beginning, but now I'm just like, you know, I understand, like, you're not that far away. Obviously we're just a little bit different, right? You know, and you're kind of reach out, hug you or anything, but you know, like it's still peaceful to know that they're there and that they understand and that they're with their, you know, with the other ones. I'm like, well, you guys have fun. You need a party, and I'll be down here on planet Earth, you know, where you left me. And it was much easier when in like some groups, I'm the last man standing. And I'm gonna tell you this because my son and I joke around about it, but there's only one boyfriend. Not even a prom date of mine is still alive, but one person. And that is just a little eerie. So it's just like I hadn't experienced death. Like I think my grandpa died when I was like 14, but that was like really the first experience I had with death. So I was just like, I didn't know how to regulate it. I didn't know how to, like, you know, and so then you're seeing things. It's like, this is too much for me. So that part of it does bother me a little bit. You know, I still don't like going to the things. I'd like to just talk to them and how they really are. And, but yeah, I mean, it's just such a part of who I am that I don't really think twice about it. I remember another big time is when I went to residency, when I was getting my mental health therapist license. And for some reason, when I was in group therapy, and I don't know if it was just like the zone or whatever, that's when they would really start coming. I saw a girl, there's a guy behind her, he's dressed in all white. I'm like, oh, okay, he must be a friend. He looks like, I could tell how old he was. Like, so I was like, Thea, I had a dream. And that's how I always say. I had a dream, and this guy came and he's wearing all, and then she showed me, she's like, that was my best friend. He was shot and killed. And then another lady, this lady kept coming up and showing me her hands, and I was like, what am I? She's not saying anything. She's kind of got something covered, but I knew who she was with, so I thought, okay, here we go with the dream thing. Just go.
Yeah, I sometimes think that there's a chat group or some sort of chain of communication going on between them all the time, and I'll be talking to one person, okay, and this person really needs me to do something with them, and I'm doing that, and then somebody related to them or sort of related will interrupt the conversation and get right in my face and say, no, you need to talk to me right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
Excuse me, excuse me. And I'm trying to help this person and you need to take a back seat right now. And they say, no, it can't wait, blah, blah. It's always so important when they do that. And it's sometimes I say yes, sometimes I say no. And then sometimes I put my head between my hands and I go, stop.
I think it's frustrating for spirits because it's not everyone who can hear them.
Do you think they know that we can hear, or do you think they find out that we can hear and see them? Like, because I feel like as soon as they do, they're like, they have a sense of urgency. Like, it's like Godspeed.
It's
like,
incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. They do. And more than we have here, I think.
Yeah.
It's like,
they're persistent. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I think it's kind of like that movie Ghost when Whoopi Goldberg finds out she's a medium. The room becomes crowded with spirits all waiting in line like they want to turn. Oh,
that's how I felt as a teenager. Yeah.
Giving
me addresses, phone numbers, like you could call. And I thought, I can't.
You know how you see auras? I think the spirits see your aura in the same sort of way.
Oh, maybe.
Mediums draw spirits to them. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, I believe that. Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. Because some, like, you can tell, like, and the more you get into it, and that, like Dolly said, they are too. They can be so demanding. And like, I was just like, man, I got to shut this down. I'd be in class, or I'd be, it's all those times where you're supposed to be focusing, but then you kind of make that shift. And then I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Like, I'll write down the phone number if you just go away. People are like, who is she talking to?
That's what I was accused of. I used to hide from people because of that. I had a very tight-knit group of friends who knew I was weird, okay? And I just sort of kept it there. When we went off to school functions or did things, extracurricular, I was always the person looking for the bathroom door because I had to run to a stall to have a conversation. And it's like, and they'd hear me in there whispering something, and I'm coming.
I know.
Like, what are you doing in there?
I know. I said that bus starts going, I'd be back in the back corner, and they're like, okay, we gotta negotiate here because you can only pretend they're not there for so long, and then it's like, okay, they, especially when the pounding or knocking or whatever starts, and you're like, okay.
I know, it's terrible.
We'll meet you back in in the bathroom, and we'll have a little chat here. Hopefully nobody else can hear. But certain people knew, and the people that did, they were able to tell. But I've had people out of nowhere. I remember I was at my friend's house, and she knew. She's well aware of it. And her neighbor's like, you can see, can't you? You can see. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, no, you can see. She's like, come walk around my house. And so then I remember I walked around her house, and her grandma was there. I described her to a T. She pulled out the picture, and then I walked past it downstairs, and then I got her mom's name, and then went through the whole 9 yards. Oh, there was that falling out before, but she forgives her, and this and this and this. So, but how she knew, she was so adamant too. She's like, you can see her, like, and I'm like, okay,
they kind of look to me
barbecue. There's other people that are here. You have an idea? Let's just get in your house. Let's go. And then as soon as we get done, I was like, Kimmy, we're getting out of here quick. Okay, let's dodge out of here. Because I've never been one for like giving readings or anything like that. I'll pass information along, but I've never like done readings. I always think that one of the girls that was in the group with me, she did. And I always felt like you don't get enough information to stay quiet. Like I felt like she would fill in those gaps where I won't. Like they didn't say it. There's nothing there. Like people have to make sense out of it. I don't. Like I'm telling you what they're showing me. Sometimes they're showing me how they died. Sometimes they're showing me, just different things that are significant to the person in front of you or what message they want to get across.
So do you see it, or sometimes you actually feel it? You mentioned that, like, like clairsentience and clairaudience and.
I see them. I see them. Yeah, I don't feel their emotion like other people do. Like, for example, I was and if there's somebody else, like let's say if Dolly and I were in the same room, the energy would be like through the rooftop. I've sat in with mediums before, and it takes it and it knocks it up about 10 notches. So I'm giving a reading, they're giving a reading. We're like both, it's almost like this guy, he explained, he's like, when you came in, he's like, I knew I backed up. Like we were like magnets, it's like,
yeah.
And then once we kind of got, and figured it out, I'm telling him about his neighbor, her about her mom. And she's telling, I was with, Billy's mom, he's telling her about Billy, and like we're just all like, going. But I knew the neighbor, he had died of asphyxiation. He showed me this gray color, just things, and they're like, oh no, yeah, that's how he died. So but yeah, I can tell. I can definitely tell. And when you get into that mode, it's like, but it's like an experience like no other. I said, I don't know why we're not more united. If it kicks that energy up like it does, and I've had happen before, it's just like it makes it so much easier. It's like it just flows.
So when this was happening to you at a very young age, did you realize what was going on? Like,
yeah, I knew, yeah, because it was a lot of, they were like, okay, so Ken Kringle that I talked about, he always played Santa Claus for us as a kid. Like my grandma owned a salon, and his good friend Jackie and Travis, I used to cut Travis's hair, and Jackie was Mormon, I think, where they didn't get Christmas presents or anything. And Chris Kringle, he's Santa Claus. He goes around everybody's house.
Is that his real name, Kringle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, his last name is really Kringle.
Okay.
Yeah, Ken Kringle. But I was saying during Christmas season, it was Chris Kringle. Okay. So he wanted me to take this toy to Travis because he knew that Jackie his mom would not give him the toy because of her religious beliefs. So he was like really on. I went in like 6 years in a row, and he told me where to put it, where to go. And then I just so happened that I was helping my grandmother and doing her hair. And then I said, Jackie, I got to tell you something. I don't know. I said, it's weighed on me. I've almost thought about doing it. It's a race car. Ken Kringle really wants me to bring this to Travis. And I said, I don't know how, like you see me on your property in the middle of the night. Like, I don't know how you would have handled this. But when I explained to her what the stair would have looked like, where he would have hid everything and all of that, she just started crying. She's like, no, that's exactly where he always hid the gifts. She's like, that's exactly where, and I hadn't been to her new house. And she's like, that's exactly how it's set up. So it was just like, and I said, well, will you please tell Travis that if he still wants that race car, I'll buy it for him. I said, I just didn't, I just didn't know what to do. I was younger then, it was just kind of like, you don't know what to do. Like, should I take it? Should I not take it? Like, what if they wake up, all the lights go on? It's like, whew. Nicole, is that you? What are you doing here in our backyard? Like, I mean, but yeah, he was very, and finally though, when I got that part out, he kind of let up a little bit. So he didn't, it was like that piece. Yeah.
When you have that effect on a person and you're, they're becoming all emotional, then you're accurate. You're doing a good job, which is amazing. Oh
yeah, definitely. And I think that it was worked out the way that it should have, because him and Jackie were very close. And she's like, oh my God, she's like, you don't know how long. I apologize. Somebody's mowing the lawn in the neighborhood. If you're getting any of that back noise. Okay. Yeah. So, I don't know if it was so much, but I said, please tell Travis that I always thought about this race car. He told me where to put it by the side door even, or where to, like, I told him I wasn't going to breaking and entering was out of I was not going to break into the house and go up to the stairs and hide it off to where he had done it before. That was too that could end up with, really bad. So then he wanted me to go to the side door, but, so just that he kept on it. And so then when I did, it was just this beautiful moment then with Jackie, and she's like, oh, and then I know, it was like, I've been thinking so much, because they were like inseparable when he was alive. So, and he was just worried because he'd always give Travis the Christmas gifts, because that was not her religion. So yeah, so it was a cool experience. It really was. It was a very cool experience.
And this paranormal stuff has never caused you any fear or anything?
Oh no, not at all.
See, that's where
except for the eye rolling back thing. Yeah, I didn't like that.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean,
and the thing, I don't even know if I should disclose this or not, but I am very susceptible to I hypnotist. Like, there's a hypnotist. Like, I'm like the first one. It's like and I did not think that, but I'm very, very susceptible to that. So that's why I have people like regression, and I'm like, no. That I go under way, way, way too easy, and I want those memories as pure as I have them. I don't want them influenced. I don't want them, because the power, I know as a mental health therapist how easy it is. Like, just engaging in a back and forth conversation, you're affecting the dopamine in somebody, then like when you get into that sing song back and forth, the serotonin in their brain, it's like, and then maybe I'll take the kid's hand and kind of like massage it with the oxytocin. So you got them in a sedative state. I mean, it's that easy. So I always, and that's just me, if there was somebody I like really trusted and really thought, hey, they've got my best interests in mind and all this, I still don't know.
But even then, you have to be aware, because
you're really good at meditating.
I don't recommend hypnosis unless a person.
Yeah, you're really good at meditating, right? You're really good at meditating, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, in a meditative state, you can take yourself back to a situation and make sure that you understand that you're safe, because you're not afraid of it, and then walk yourself through your own need to figure something out. You can do that.
Yeah, well, we'll have to talk more about that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I interviewed a guy, Jay Gardner. He had a major missing time UFO encounter. Met with Leo Sprinkle, who was the first guy to really hypnotize people. And Leo sat him down and said, listen, we can do hypnosis, but what I want you to do is meditate, do self-hypnosis. And I'll show you these steps, and you can recall your memory yourself without anyone else's influence. And he did. He absolutely recalled the whole darn thing, and it was amazing.
Wow.
I interviewed him both before and after, too. Because I was publishing his story, and I called him up. Your chapter is finished here. Take a look at it. And he's like, you're going to have to rewrite it. I've remembered everything.
That's amazing, though, just to get those. I mean, in switching over to ET, like, I mean, you don't get a full picture of what's going on just to recall some of that. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, perspective and frame of mind when you meet up with them has a lot to do with how you're going to remember it or not. You know that your hippocampus can be affected. Fear doesn't always knock it out. Other things can knock it out as well. It's like not putting reality in with the scene that you're looking at. I've seen people become catatonic in front of me because they can't, this isn't real. And then gone, their hippocampus won't store it back where it needs to go to the long-term memory, and they lose it like a dream. And most people don't realize that ET are not stopping you from
that trauma. Yeah, the hippocampus starts going off like an alarm system in your head, and it does it. Yeah.
Well, you just said something, Dolly, like a dream. Dreams, we all know how hard they can be to remember and how easily they slip away.
Oh, yeah.
And this can happen with a ghost encounter or a Bigfoot encounter. People will have what we would call missing time, because it does not fit into their worldview to a point that they don't process it.
Yeah, they can't put it in there.
Yeah. There was a very famous case where two guys had a major Bigfoot encounter. I mean, it ran up to them. It picked one of the guys up. It ran off with them. Didn't talk about it. They forgot it for years.
Wow.
Your same sort of thing that happens with UFOs. So I think this, like Dolly says, this is us doing it. It's our own brain reacting in a certain way to something that's out of our worldview. But it's
Oh yeah,
interesting that
it
this,
really is. But
yeah.
it doesn't that part of it doesn't scare me. Like I remember, I think I told you this before, when I was trying to have my out of body experience. I got part way out, okay, and I didn't care if the Grim Reaper himself came down and gave me a hand. Like I wanted out, okay. So and then I was like literally got part way out, and I had a hand extended, and what came down looked like a cryptid like lady. I was like not entertained. I was like, art, help me out here. Like, and then she just kind of, so I don't know if it was kind of scare me back in or what, but she didn't help
Well,
me
wait a
out.
second.
That was,
Back up. What did she look like?
she looked like a cryptid, like somebody you'd see like like out of a scary movie, maybe. But I didn't care. Like I said, it could have been the Grim Reaper himself. I wanted out. Like I was so close that time. I didn't care.
When you get really emotional, when
down.
you're OBE, it'll suck you right back in. Did you know that? If you get over emotional, you can cry, be too happy, be unnerved, whatever. Any high emotion will suck you right back in. So you might have just been really emotional because you're describing being an emotional person.
Yeah, I was excited. I thought I was getting out. Like I was excited. So maybe
and then,
that was
right back in.
Yeah.
Keep trying. I mean, you should keep going till you can get out.
Well, I have had some different ones, but it hasn't. It's like it's almost been like things that could happen but didn't happen. If that makes sense. Like maybe like I'm like on another timeline or stuff like that would, you know what I mean? Like so real. Yeah. It's like, oh, my roommate came in and this happened, and it didn't. But it's something that was so real, like it could have happened. So I was like, I don't know if that's I don't know. I don't know enough. I need Preston to have a class, and I will be the first to sign up. And I tell you, like, I'm ready to do this. And I always say that, but like, I really am. I just got to get all the way out of there. So, but maybe I can't get too excited because I get excited about that stuff.
Yeah, you got to stay calm. That's why meditation, you get to a calm state.
Yeah.
Everything. You're
right. You're right.
And I spent a year trying to get over because I could get out and then I'd be like, yeah, whoop, right back in.
Oh, really?
I did that for a year.
That's what I'm doing wrong. I bet you that's what I'm doing wrong because I'm getting the further I get out, the more excited I get.
It's awesome when it happens. It's like, wow, oh my God.
Right back in. Andrew, who's actually in the chat, Andrew Rollins, he was one of the first people, and Paul, well, it's Maybell 777. He has May 7th birthday also. He's in the chat. He's from Canada. He's experienced. They were some of the first people that were there. And when we would have like ET experiences, like I just remember the empathy that they would give me, like, because it was like I'd say there's like a 3-day period where I felt like so I didn't know how to digest it. I didn't know. I felt like I kind of like flew. Like I just isolated myself for about 3 days, and then I came out of it and I was like, like, this is amazing. But it took that time to process it. And I just remember Paul, he's childhood experiencers. Childhood experiencers, they're different. They're definitely like a different experience than what I've had with it. But it's just like unbelievably amazing, like some of the people and just the empathy, like the understanding, and to have people around you. So it's what Preston and Dolly, what you guys are doing is so amazing. like you don't know how like people can come and they can watch your program, and like I was reaching out for anybody when this first happened. I was like looking for anybody, and I was like, oh, who do you contact? I was like, I tried MUFON. They didn't have step 2, so it was like, like, not that I don't love MUFON people, whatever. But I'm just saying that they couldn't give me any answers, and they couldn't tell me what we were supposed to do next. Like, okay, well, I got aboard. Okay, I met them. Now, what's step 2? We don't know.
I just don't.
Can't you get out the MUFON manual? Isn't it like step 2 here? Like, no, there's not there. Okay. Yeah. So nobody told me that before I asked for the Nichole tour, but I really wanted the tour. When I was seeing them, those crafts were coming. It was just the excitement. The whole neighborhood heard it. I mean, it was just like, I had like, oh, this is great. That childhood excitement you get. It was just like, it just flew through you like this electricity. And prior to that, if you back up, I had 2 discs replaced in my neck. And
Wow.
this is before ET, and I lost my right side. And I think I've kind of talked about this a few times, but anyway, my right hand, I like couldn't throw anything. It'd like drop. I'd tip
Oh,
over. Yeah, if my son were on here, I'd have you attest to it. A poor kid. I'd just be standing there and be like tip
Aw.
over. And I went from that. No, and after the ET experiences, after the first one, I bet you I was 50% better. The medical doctor said, you will not get your curve, you know. You probably know as a nurse, Dolly, that
yes.
as your curve for fusion. So I'm going on 2.5 years, 3 years, and they're like, you're not, you know, that hump is like narrowing down. You're not going to get much better than this. And I like bursitis. They said I had more diagnosis than known
Oh.
to man. And they were going to do back surgery, and they were going to like send me to a physical therapist. Physical therapist said, you need to go because we think there's something more wrong with you, and we don't even want to touch you. And I was like, what? No, the physical therapist won't even help me.
Yes.
So
Wow.
yeah. So, and then after, I remember January after the second one, my precision, I'm like roller skate. I have better like balance and precision than I'm like a ninja sometimes. Like I can sense things like, and I'm telling you, if it weren't for the ETs, I really was you can ask Mufan Dave Creeder out of Iowa. He'll even tell you. And I said, I was at a place, and I'll be real honest about this. Like I had a young son. He's very active. And I'm like, how is this fair to him? I'm in constant pain. My hand's like swollen twice the size. Like I've got neuropathy now, or whatever the heck I got going on, this, that, and another, you know? And
Yeah.
I was like, can I live like this? Can I honest to God live like this?
Yeah.
It was really to the point where I was at. It was so much pain. And that is at the point of where I saw. And when I encountered the first UFO, Mufan came out and measured it. I measured to be 50 foot in diameter. I stood 30 feet away from it. And there is no denying. There is absolutely no denying what I saw. And
Well, wait.
so it's like,
I'd love to get a little bit more into that.
Sure.
But let's just take our quick station ID break. It's the top of the hour.
Oh my gosh, time's
Went so
flying.
fast.
Yeah.
This is amazing. All right,
Yeah.
everyone. I want to thank you for joining us on episode 69 of The Light Gate. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Safran, lifetime experiencer. Subject of my book, Symmetry. Our guest tonight is Coley, aka Nicole Weber. She's had a lot of experiences with ghosts and mediumship and these sort of things, which we've talked a lot about. We're just starting to touch on some of the UFO experiences, which I am particularly interested in. But I love all of this stuff. It's fascinating. And I do want to let you know that we are streaming live on several platforms, including United Public Radio at 107.7 FM and UFO Paranormal Radio Network 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana. We are also on YouTube, as some of you probably already figured out. We're on Facebook, and if you have Roku, you can check us out there. That's our newest platform. We're reaching a wider and wider audience. We're super grateful to our producers, Michelle De Roche, Amelia Pisano. Have a wonderful show. The Outer Realm, check it out. It airs live each Wednesday and Thursday evening at 9 to 11. We are eternally grateful to them. And of course, to all of you who are watching us tonight, if you have any questions, do get them in early and we shall try to get to them because our guest tonight does have a lot of experience with the paranormal and ghosts and UFOs as well, as we shall soon find out. So thank you, and let's get back to our guest. Okay, Coley, I am interested. How did this UFO stuff start to roll out? Because this wasn't really something you thought about, right? I mean, you weren't.
Oh no,
UFOs weren't a part of
not.
all of this. How did it begin?
Well, see, 2 weeks prior to me seeing mine, my brother and Brody, my son, they were coming in this back road. You can look it up. It's between Dubuque and Cascade, Iowa. So take this Bernard back road. Anyway, they saw my brother came. I remember how shook he was. He's like, we just saw a UFO when he brought Brody in. I was like, you did what? He's like, we just saw a UFO and it was hovering above the tree. There's no denying that it was a UFO. And I was like, oh, that's cool, Eric. That's cool. You know, like, yeah, my grandmother told me like she saw a UFO and she would have gotten out and gone to it, but it was raining. So I believe they were real, but I just hadn't experienced it. So I was like, you know, did it do anything? Did she, it's like he was pretty like visibly shook. So 2 weeks later, I was in this old cemetery, St. Patrick's Church. You can look it up. It's between Cascade and Bernard. And then the church is great if you want to do paranormal, but they lock it now. But it used to be like one of those old lock things, you know, that you turn from the inside and then you get inside and it locked by itself. So it's like kind of fun, you know. And I'd be like, you can't lock us in here. So then it unlocks. So I'm like, we got to get back to that cemetery. If this is happening in the church, can you imagine what's going down in that cemetery? So it dated back to like the Civil War era. So I was just there taking pictures, you know, in the cemetery, like normal. Normal for me. I drug my neighbor along. She's like, okay, you know, I'm like, well, you know, that, you know, I'm exploring here. They like, I'm from Dubuque, not that it's like that big of a deal, but this is like really like back road stuff, you know. So Jessica's like, I'll take, yeah, that's no problem. I'll go. Okay. So I'm there. And then I didn't have my cell phone for whatever reason. I mean, it's 2017, July 2017. And I said, I'm watching this. And it looked like a controlled like jet stream. It's like just, but it was, you know, we didn't really have like the terms LED lights back then. Like we didn't really have like a lot of, you know, now LED lights like, wow, okay. But that was like the first time that I really could see something like that where I knew, and it was kind of a different color. And then it was this like gun gray, like shadow gray. On the outside, and you'll see, because I dropped my camera, like you'll see it off in the distance where I have it. And so he was able to reverse, and that's how he found out that it came 1 mile to 30 feet away. And I remember my brother was on the phone. I was like, Eric, what do I do? And he's like, if I were you, I'd stay there. And I was like, I knew it. No, you wouldn't. You know, I saw you were, when it came to my phone, you wouldn't stay here. Nah, you'd be running. You'd be running. But I'm going to stay here. So I just remember I dropped everything and I just stood like, okay. And it just kept creeping closer. And I was like, oh man, this is happening. You know, this is really happening. And Jessica, she's like, has half hanging out of her car door. We gotta go. I'm like, we gotta stay. We gotta see what this is. So I'm just like ultra. And I felt like, you know, we just kind of locked into each other, like with the craft. So was there, and then standing there, and there was 2 trees. Why that made me feel safer, I don't know. Like it couldn't have hopped right over that tree or not, but if for some reason those 2 trees there, was like, thank God there were trees. Like, you know, they just couldn't go 5 feet up and down. But anyway, so like through her incessant screaming, I kind of broke, and I looked down at the car because I was up on a hill, and I kind of looked down where she's parked. She's like, let's go. And I looked over, and there it was over, like shifted real quick. And then I was like, whoa. And then I watched it for a second, and then we both saw it shoot off, and then it broke off into like 8 light spheres, like light balls. I called them light balls at the time. Now light spheres is probably more professional. But I was like, we got to go find it. Let's go find it. She's like, I think I know where it went. So we hop in her car, we go, and I get this real eerie feeling. And I'm like, and these are back roads, like gravel roads, you know, they're unincorporated roads, like people don't really drive on these roads very often. So we pull over, we get out, and I remember looking above and seeing this like dark like, you know, ring. And then we both look over, and the power lines, you know, they're still above ground now. It looked like somebody was taking those power lines and just, they were like, and I was like, I think it's above us. And she's like, what? And I just look, and we both look at the power lines. We're like, oh, that's not normal. I'm like, there's no wind. Like there's what's going on here. So we did at that point get back into our car and went back, and we pulled into our garage, and I was like, whoa, you saw that, right? She's like, yeah, you know, and I'm like,
yeah, that's how you describe it.
Yeah, like I mean, she was really just like white knuckled, like, you know, like whoa. So I happened to do some research, and I found MUFON. I was like, okay. So I called MUFON, MUFON Dave Creeder, he comes and he asks me questions, whatever. So he came out to the site and explained to everything. And then he had like some reverse formula. So he's able to figure out how big it was, how far it came from at the point where I dropped my camera. And then I remember saying to him when he was left, I kind of felt sad. And I was like, do you think I'll see another one? And he's like, oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. And I'm like, okay. So there was a few different things that kind of came up that were questionable, but nothing as profound as it was that first time. It was like, I couldn't let it go though. I could not let it go. Like I was researching, I'm like going through physics, Einstein's, I'm like it's just like overtaking me. Like I can't let it go. And so then I was in the process of moving. So in December, we were moving back to Dubuque, and I remember that I had gone out and I was watching these two orbs, and they were like flashing, signaling. There was right over top of my rooftop, and so I got sorry, I have allergies. I got this picture of it, and I'm just watching and just amazed. I'm like, oh, I gotta call MUFON Dave and tell him about this tomorrow. Oh my gosh, this right here. And so then when I started to go the next day, I started to look back, and I was like, what's going on here? There's not just those pictures. There's pictures from the night before that I was out recording, and you could clearly see this craft. I sent it to you. It's probably hard to see in all the mix, but it was so low, like it was coming like right over the awning. Like it was that low, and I was out there with it, and I have no recollection of it. And then
yeah, I sent a lot of pictures. I'm not sure.
I know. I should have
I'm looking at them. I'm like,
it's yeah, I can't even know the craft or whatever. But it's
one. I don't know.
That's okay. That's that guy right there. That's the first one that I saw that came from 1 mile, and he came streaming ahead. Yeah. So that was which doesn't look exciting. But it was very controlled. And if you saw that firsthand, the way that it was like, it clearly like
there's another one in there where it's in a different spot in the sky, so this was clearly moving around.
Oh yeah it was coming towards us.
Keep going.
So anyway, I was out there, so that's when I realized that first missing time. So all of a sudden I just like went back kind of against my wall, and I was like had this flash, and I was like, ooh, I think I went somewhere, uh-oh, how do I tell MUFON Dave about this, So I said, Dave, I was really shaky at that point. I was like, well, I have these pictures, right? Oh, yeah, there he is, that guy. He was definitely the first one. So I'm telling him about it. That's in a cemetery.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Paranormal. They all blend in at some point, We'll just blend them all in together.
So there it is. Before it was over by this cloud here, and now it's over here.
Yeah, and it made a straight line. It like he just, and it was so weird because it was just like you wouldn't really think anything of it. Normally, I wouldn't have. And I'm not sure how it caught my attention, but like I said, it did, and it was like it made a beeline right for us. And I can't say there was anything. I don't know. I felt like what I was communicating with was what it was. That's the only way that I can explain it.
It's the same thing as mediumship, because ETs are telepathic. You can communicate with ETs the same method as with spirits.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Well, see, with spirits, like they're in our time, and I can't reach out and touch them. But ET, like I'm on their time and their space, and I can reach out and touch them. Is what I feel like. That they're physical. Like
they are physical. They're in your time. When you see them like that, they're with you. They're in your time, and you have direct telepathic straight line communications with them. So
that's well, that's a whole different. They're not much for words. Let me tell you though. It's like I'll ask questions, and I get little responses back, and I'm like, okay, so this is a journey. Like I remember when I asked, why am I here? Like, what am I here? And here for communication. Well, okay, I'm here for communication. So that means everywhere I go that I'm just, people will be like, do you have to ask? You have to ask.
Yeah.
I do. I have to. I'm going to get my part done. Okay. I got it. So I feel like, has anyone here seen a UFO or anything? And, you know, there's always somebody in the crowd that's seen something. So, you know, and then people started gravitating towards me. But I was like, Andrew, who's on here, and Paul and Fred, like I met this great group like of core people, and we were all going through this. Andrew has like a totally, like, he was able to fly the craft, like we were able to relate, and we were trying different things. He sent me this watch that had like oil in it, and he could probably explain it better, but when he was taken, it would have air bubbles in it. So we were trying different things. And then I was going around the house all day. I'm like, okay, when they take you, you're going to be aware. The sight, smell, you know, senses. Is it cold? Is it hot? Is it like, you know, can you smell anything? Can you see anything? And what I got is that they're very ethereal beings. And I asked, you know, at one point, because the first ones were the grays, the short ones, and pear-shaped. And they, I asked them why was restrained. And they said, because of contamination. And right. I was like, am I contaminated?
They're holy germaphobes. Yep, every last one of them.
They are very sterile beings, very sterile. And I made vlogs. I feel if you hear my vlogs back from when I first made them, you'd be like, whoa. But I like literally was trying to explain, and they had suction cups, I remember, on, you know, some fingers, and that really stuck with me. Like, I was really, that creeped me out for some reason. But yeah, I don't like those. It was like an octopus. So I was like, ugh.
But it's not that only a few times.
Just so you know, really? Fingered grays, and it's a prosthesis they put on the end of their finger so they can grasp things, because 3 fingers is really hard to manipulate with. So they wear that to help them, you know.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the body part that's touching you like an octopus. Or that's
I was just like, I don't know about this. Like, you know, you think that, but okay, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. That definitely makes. I feel a lot better about that now, because I was really stuck on the like the section. What was that for? You know, like you see the things like, it's like, you know, I don't know, who knows, but
I saw them without it. Okay, just 3 fingers, and the next time I saw them with them on, and I'm like, when did you do that? You know?
Oh wow! So you okay?
Yeah, and they showed me it's a prosthesis. They took it off and put it back on, and it's so they can grasp things, because it's really, it's not like they have opposable thumbs. It's fingers, literally.
Right.
And it's wild. Just look at it. You just look and you think, that's different.
Yeah. No, well, I'm glad that you told me that, because I've been stuck on that part. Now I can just move on from that part of the story, because I was like talking about that section cup, you know. But yeah, like I still do. I have the vlogs that I kept, and it's so weird to go back and listen to how I interpreted it back then, and to how I see it now. But I did have the markings. The strangest one I had, I don't know, I did send it to you, Preston, but it's like probably mixed in with a bunch of them, is a star map. I drew the star map in December. It'd been in 2018. July of 2019, that sucker ended up on my leg, and I didn't even know it was there. I got up out of bed. I had shorts on because July, whatever. My son Brody's like, "Mommy, you got something on the back of your leg," and I was like, "What?" And then he's like, "No, go look in the mirror." He's like, "There's something on the back of your leg. You really need to see what this is." And it was the same star. It matched up in the mirror to what I had, and I knew exactly what picture it was. So I'm going through, because I have notes like galore, like I have notebooks everywhere, like, you know, and I'm flipping through, and I couldn't look, and I have to have this picture still. I have to have it. I found it. I'm not an artist, but you'll see the ones with the stars that look like probably a third grader drew it. That was me. And that was where I drew, where I had seen a lot of them coming from. But I think it, like, I call it points of reflection, you know, like maybe they were trying to get my attention, or but how that ended up on the back of my leg is beyond.
Is it still there?
No, it was gone probably within 4 days.
Okay.
Is that it?
No, that's the one on my abdomen. And I see numbers. People always think I'm crazy when I say this, but I see, like, I don't know. They say that that's like kind of typical or whatever, but it's all been on my right side. Like I see 4, 5, 7, and 4. I don't know. It's weird how some of it pops out, but they were more like scoop marks initially.
It's not 666. I think.
Yeah, right. Like, where's the scooper? We're gonna adjust a little bit here. Oh man, ooh. Yeah. You know what? I'm scarred. I watched those Omen. Growing up Catholic, the Omen thing, and then they found that 666 on that kid's head. I was still one of those in the bathroom, like looking like, hey, somebody else check too for me. Yeah. But no, it's just like one was on the front. That was the first one I had. Then on the back, there's like was a bruise more, but then I had one in my wrist, and then it stayed in the same spot for maybe like a day and a half. And at the time I talked to Mufan Dave, I felt it, and it like it was gone. I said, Dave, it just shot up my arm. And he's like, oh no, that's normal if you have an implant that it will move. And I'm like, well, where to go? And he's like, well, we don't know.
I have one in my thigh. It'll come up. It's mostly up all the time for me. Preston's seen it.
Oh, really?
Somebody goes to touch it, it'll whoop right into my leg, and I can feel it. It goes.
Yeah, it's a weirdest sensation. Yes. And, oh my gosh, Dolly, you get it. Oh, I love it. Yeah, when you can talk to somebody, you don't have to explain like all, and then like yeah, it's like
yeah, they vibrate every now and then too. It's like, oh my god, just stop. I'll be woken up in the middle of the night by it.
What do you think it's for?
This one, the one in my thigh, is to monitor my health. Okay. It literally keeps a track of my body functions and my heartbeat, my blood pressure, because it's near an artery, and things like that. It just lets them know I'm okay, And then I have one in my hand. That's for flying. And then I have one up in my nostril. It's like right here, and it moves. And every now and then it'll come down for whatever reason, and I can plink it. I'll like use my finger and go ding, 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 ding. Here,
really?
Preston here. I just blink, 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 and then boop, it goes right back up. And I have not figured out what that one's for, except that I was told that I had to have that one. I had pulled one out when I was younger. When you're a nurse, you're not afraid of anything anymore. And I used the scalpel and I pulled it out with forceps, and it disappeared right in front of me. It just disintegrated.
Oh, wow. Were you able to see it before it did like this?
Yeah, I saw it. It fuzzed up and then went gone. It just creepy.
How big do you think it was?
It's about the size of a little smaller than a grain of rice, and it was metallic, And then I woke up not too long after that, like a few months later. I had let it heal, I guess, and I was warned that you have a new one. Leave it alone. Are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed, but I use both. I shoot guns with my left hand. I don't know why that's.
There you go. Okay, you're ambidextrous because they'll prefer one side over the other depending on what hand is your dominant side. What side is your dominant side? So they go to the opposite side. My right side is permanently, that's the side they go for because I'm left-handed. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Okay. And you know what? But see, this is where it kind of gets tricky. Is after the surgery, I lost my whole right side, and that was before. And so I was using my left side, had more strength. So it was going after my right side. But like I said, I had no strength. Like I'd throw a ball and that be lucky to go like 2 feet down, or tip over, whatever. It was horrible. It was so embarrassing. But I just really like standing doing laundry. Like Brody's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh yeah," just like
sure I am.
I know. So I think that they were repairing my right side. That's why I think that it was there, because that would have been the weaker side at that time.
Yeah.
But
all right, there's the picture you're talking about.
There it is. Yeah, there's my star map. I drew that.
Right. That's the body markings.
And if you see the ones with the stars, like the picture that looks like maybe like a third grader drew.
Yeah, I found that.
Okay. Yeah. Now, if you look in the mirror, they match up. So it was like, I was like, I instantly knew what it was when I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, and then I was like, let's go stay at a hotel. Why don't we go stay at a hotel? I just want to figure this out for a second. I just needed a minute to digest it, because it was just
find you in a hotel, by the way.
I know. But I was just like eliminating, like, it literally, like if you had an iron, kind of like that's the only way. But it healed within like 4 days. Like it went down. Like I took pictures of it day after day, and I probably would not have even seen it if he hadn't seen it. And because I was wearing shorts or whatever, I probably wouldn't even known it was there.
That's one of the signs. If it heals very quickly,
Yeah. Yeah. When I got the one in my thigh, I was really young. And I thought I hurt myself. I couldn't figure out what the hell happened. And it was gone like in under 24 hours. And it was significant enough to make me think, why did that go away so fast? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Then the
Oh,
one of
even
my
the bruising and stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
It's just like,
no, just
record time.
gone. And then one of my hand healed that day. I mean, that day I watched
Wow.
it just go away. It was
I had one
weird.
on my eye. That was and like, I can't even explain it. I thought I broke a blood vessel or something. I was traumatized. I was like, oh, what is that? My brother saw it and he's like, oh, you might want to have that looked at. But it was gone within just a couple days. Just so just like, and like people
So
ask.
do you have memories of actually being on board,
Mhm. Yeah.
fully conscious? Or is that-
Okay, so yeah, there's moments of consciousness like where okay, so the first ones I saw were the grays. Well, now I know that they don't have suction cups, that they have pressure plates, so that's good. That's good. I feel much better about them. But when I was on there, I could see myself. But when I saw them, I was down on the table and I was restrained and I saw them through my eyes, but I could see what was going on. Like I was out of body. Does that make sense? Not
Yeah.
really, probably. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dolly. So I was looking down at my body and it was looking through, and I remember looking into their eyes. And I remember like there was 5 of them around. I remember looking in and I was like, this is like eternity. Like I'm looking in. That's all I thought is this is like looking into eternity. Like that's the only way I could describe it. I just was like,
They were black eyes at that time.
mhm.
They were wearing lenses to protect them from whatever they were doing. Light-wise, they must have had a laser going because they wear
They
wear
did.
them. They wear them during the day out here, and they wear them at night too because humans have really halogeny bright lights, and it blinds the hell out of them. They have blue eyes, most of them, almost all of them
Really?
have blue green, and the lenses to
Wow.
protect them because they see ultraviolet light like we don't. They don't have the same kind of inner lens.
Now that you say that, I always said that I think they're reflective. Their skin, like they're reflective because of the LED table light. I felt like they were, those old glow in the dark. They were almost like a yellow light, but then you'd be like green at night. I almost felt like they were like absorbing the light, like they were reflective of the light, if that makes any sense.
Yep. Yeah, those lenses to protect them. I even wear them on.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can't handle it. When you're coming in somewhere, the lights are incredible in some places, and
Oh,
Earth is
wow.
bad about it. You're coming down into a city, and there are searchlights, places, planes, lights. I mean, you're just coming along, and there's a bloody jumbo jet coming at you, and they can't see you, but we can see them, and their lights are right in our faces, and it
Mhm.
helps a lot.
Wow. Okay.
You-
I
you
learned
were
2
looking-
things today. This is great. Yeah.
You were looking at what we would call grays then?
Yes. So they were around, and that's when they talked about the contamination. That's why I was here. And then they also showed me a card like the Fool. I was out for like the Fool's card, the Joker card. I still haven't quite put the pieces of that together yet. But it always, like when I ask for answers, I don't always get. I'll get an answer, but it doesn't always make sense. It might be a year or 2 down the road, and I'm like, oh, that's what they meant. Oh, that's real. Okay, communication. So I didn't have to go into every restaurant and every person's house and ask, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing, So, I mean, it definitely is a journey. But the second ones that I went on, when they were tall grays, and I stood outside, and don't let me get caught on the child too long because I was like a children's therapist then. And there was this little kid, and he was just waiting. But when I was on, they didn't have me restrained at all. They didn't really even act like I wasn't supposed to be there. But I could look down the hall, which was like triangular, and it was different colors, LED lights. And it was nothing like that because the LED lights like back then were like one color, or they were like the yellow or the white. But these were like different colors. And it was clearly like, and I felt like we were in some sort of Medbay. One had like a black, maybe I say t-shirt, but it's not really a t-shirt. It's more like it's painted on. I don't know. However they do it. Yeah. And then the one was like a red. So I figured that's how they distinguish one another. They had carts, they had like things that were moving around. But I was out with this child. And so that's what I said. I was like, oh gosh, I was really stuck on this child. And I said, he reminded me he's about the same age as my son. And I said, you know what, buddy, you can come and you can play at my house. Nobody needs to know. Okay. Like, you just come and, nobody needs to, but like, I just want to nurture them, And so then they showed me like a lot though, like how they simulate, like, for example, the I laugh about it. Excuse me, because she's wearing this like rose. It looked like some of you're digging through like your great grandma's like chest of clothes like that she had on, and she's with this boy who looks like he's dressed out of J.C. Penney's catalog.
Yeah.
And they're like simulating like miniature golf or how we would do things down here on Earth. So I thought, well, is this like it didn't come to me until like much later. Maybe this is a training facility, like to get them to acclimate into society, or am I here to show them human emotion? Because like, they're not going to walk up and give you a hug like ETs when they see you. It's not like that. We're not that tight. But so I never quite did figure that part out.
And I comfortable. What's that? It disarmed you. It was to make you comfortable, not think about where you were going.
Maybe.
Yeah, they often my ET mother wore gingham dresses because I love them, and she's always worn them my whole life. I mean, she got so used to wearing them for me that she liked them, and she kept using them. But
wow, yeah, because there was a familiarity, like with something that my great grandma. Yeah,
well, they'll dress up.
No, that makes sense. Okay.
So at the time you were having memories of being on board and meeting these guys,
and they didn't seem like they bothered, whatever. So then I remember coming. And they also showed me. I asked them. I said, so for memory wise, like, or when you experience time, I asked them how they do that, and they holographically like set it up. Like we went into, it's just like everything the exact way that it happened, but we were like the outsiders participating in it. So we weren't changing anything. So it was like a circle with a circle, like a circle that overlaps. They say that's how they record their history. So they can go back at any point in time and then just it sets it up, and then they experience it like that firsthand. They don't have to question or doubt or whatever. This is how it was recorded.
That's how you explain it, Dolly. They don't actually affect it. They just look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like there's nothing I could have done or anything that could have changed any part of it.
Book. I have an Akashic record book. Okay, it's my book, and when I open up the pages, they do that. It comes up in 3D, and I see things, and I can see any point in the timeline. Not forward; they don't let me go there, but backwards, yeah, backward in my life, and it's really cool. Cool. Yeah, it's cool. So they were showing you stuff. Do you remember what the stuff was?
Did I what?
Do you remember what the stuff was that they were showing you? What were you saying?
I just remember they were setting up a scene like where I was asking. So in my mind, like I said, well, when we think about stuff, we just get like these jagged, like it doesn't matter because we can't remember every single second of time. So, and that's how they were showing me like, no, this is experience. I just remember it was kind of like they were mingling around. I don't know if they just like kind of randomly chose a spot, but they just said, we sit back. This is how you experience it. You see it firsthand. It's like watching a movie play out. And it doesn't matter if I jump in front and trip the guy or whatever. It's not going to change history. And that's a big thing, is that they're not getting in there and they're not manipulating. It's not going to change it. Bother it. It's not gonna, so they were very, very kind, and like how every question I had, I feel like they answered. They spoke a lot in pictures instead of more words. Like, let me show you. Like,
did you get my experience with them is that they conceptualize everything, and I can ask them a question and they'll show me the conception of what the answer is.
Yes.
At one time, and it took me a while when I was really young to like get it. What, huh? Because I have many words to say. Yeah, just show me the whole ball of wax right there.
Yes.
And it teaches you to be an incredible observer, because you have to pick out every little thing in that concept that's coming at you. And it's wild. It's the way they think.
I've heard this from a lot of people. It takes a while to unpack what they tell you.
Oh yeah. But at least the grays, they just give me like one, just little bits, the small ones. But they'll take you and you like actually experience or if anything, it's like you're experiencing it with them. It's like you don't, and any question, like I did not go unanswered. Like they showed me, and like, so it was very, I felt a lot more comfortable, with them. And I don't know why they like, I kind of found some humor, but like I said, they still weren't like that lovey-dovey, I mean, it wasn't like that or anything, but they, were very, very kind in how they did show. And, if I did, like I said, if I had a question or anything, it was a projection of this is, like you said, a conceptualization of how this is, that's got me 3 times there, Dolly. Good job. But like, why don't I just talk to you? I'd have like years of research, I had years of my life back. I know it's a journey.
No, I understand.
Part of it, you have to learn for yourself.
Yeah.
People, no one can. You can't tell anybody anything really. Everyone has to do it. The work.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that. Absolutely. Because I remember that after the first one, Dave's like, did the veil lift? I'm like, what do you move on, Dave? What do you mean did the veil lift? Well, do you have all the answers? And I was like, what are you talking about? The veil lifting. I'm like, I'm sure. And then over time, it's like, okay, here's your big awakening, and you don't know what you're about to have, but your life is about to be shook in every single way possible down to your core. And you will never go back to living the way that you live once you encounter that. There is no going back. Right. There is no changing it.
Learning. Yep. Every day is a new chapter. Day's a new life.
So when all these experiences were happening to you, that was when you were having these health issues?
They happened, I'd say within like, against all odds, I had no feeling in my thumb, like couldn't do it. Like I was sending you my roller skating videos. I was zip lining, like doing all the stuff that I should not have ever been doing. And I was able, against all medical odds. I didn't need back surgery. I didn't have bursitis.
So I guess my question is, do you feel like they healed you?
Yeah, well, 1000% they did.
Right.
I'm very thankful for it. Mm-hmm. And that's why it bothers me sometimes when I hear the negative parts of it, because I feel like, and not everybody gets that opportunity, I understand, but I was given my life and a second shot at it. And not that I didn't blow it a few times, but I'm saying that like I was given my strength in my ability to do things and walk and, feed myself and like run. And, I'm not even joking. Some of the things that I could do, I couldn't even do in my 20s. Like I'm jumping around on roller skates, like you name it. And so I'm very thankful, and I'm very, very grateful for that, because to me, I can't say a bad thing about them, because for whatever it was, whatever the trade-off was, it was well worth it to me. It really was. Wow. And I will forever show gratitude for that, because like I said, against all medical odds. And when you hear something like that, like it was so bad, Preston, like I was going through, and I had one, they almost took my leg off. They said I had flesh-eating bacteria in my leg. I mean, like this is going, I was on so many antibiotics. I had cellulitis in my leg. I mean, I could not heal like with anything. And I was just like coming one infection after another. I was on antibiotics for 2 years straight, which took my immune system down to about nothing. And that was when the intervention like came. I was like, probably had like 50 pounds on me. And then when he even noticed the difference when I saw him again, because we've gone UFO hunting a couple times, Mufon Dave and me. And he's like, man, you wouldn't even recognize that you're the same person. And I'm like, I'm not the same person. I'm not.
Right.
And just think, if you hadn't had these memories of contact, you would never know you'd been healed. You'd just be like, gosh, I'm feeling much better.
Right. Right.
No, she would have figured it out.
I think that happens to a lot of people. Doctors know about this spontaneous remission, they'll call it, or what? Our treatment worked.
Yeah, but they know it's not their treatment. I remember going back into the surgeon, and he's like, he was telling me if I did not have that lower back surgery, that I would not only have fusion in my neck, I would have it in my lower back, and so I basically wouldn't be able to bend over. And I'm like, whoo, So how is it now that I don't need the back surgery anymore? Like, do you have any answers? You guys told me that I was that curve, that curve that I was getting better, that was done and over with. So how do you explain that? But they just, it's just like, okay, have a nice day. It's not like,
Yeah, I've been rescued
You
a
know?
few times myself by them. I broke my neck was broken. Okay, and it was bad, and I was haloed and everything. And
Oh yeah, I did.
the surgeon came in, and I was in and out of consciousness because it was bad. Okay, I was injured really badly, and I remember him saying to me, "This is not a guarantee. You might not come out of this able to walk or use all your limbs."
Mhm.
And he said, "Yes or no? Do we go?" He said, "If we don't do anything, you might sustain what you've got now. You're just going to be braced all the time and things like that." I mean, they had 1,000 things to say to me, and I just let them know, yes, 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 go, do it. And when it was over with and I came to, he said, "I want to tell you something." He said, "Something weird happened to me in there." He said, "Somebody walked in with me and was with me." He said, "We wired you from head to toe so we could hear your neck doing everything that it was doing as we were touching you." And he said, "Nothing went wrong. Not a single thing went wrong. It was perfect, perfect, perfect. I'm not supposed to be able to move my neck, but I can do all of it."
Like, mine's feel like
I
great.
know. And the third time I went to see him after post-op, he put a fluoroscope on me and he's talking to me and he's like, "What?" He says, "Do this, do that, do this, do that." And he said, "Do you realize that you're moving around metal in your neck that you shouldn't be able to move?" He
Mhm.
said, "I fused your neck and
Yeah.
you're doing this."
Mine's
And
here to here too. And I'm
I can
like,
see you do it in real time. And how the heck are you doing that? And I said, "I don't know. I just don't know." And he said, "I also healed overnight." I mean, they had, they wrap your skin and they staple it after they stitch it up.
mhm.
And about a week after the surgery, I took the collar off because it was driving me crazy and I was itching like crazy. And I'm not afraid of anything. I'm a nurse, so I'm going, I saw the staples, I went, peek, 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 and I pulled them all out.
Crazy.
Oh no, you didn't. Oh.
And the scar from where they stitched it was healed. And I went, "Oh, I'm fine." And I went to the next appointment with him with no collar on. He almost had a heart attack. He said, "What did you do?" And he's like, that's when he put the fluoroscope on me. He said, "You're healing at a phenomenal rate. This is insane."
Wow.
And
See, I was the polar opposite with mine. Like, it was not healing. But I had one of those hard neck braces for a year. I had to walk around with one of those, like, you see in those movies.
Yeah.
For like a year, and I'm like, this is. But I felt like I couldn't breathe.
Which
When-
vertebra was it? Which
It
vertebra?
was I was trying to think. I'd have to look. Was it 4 and 5? Is that right?
C4-5. Okay.
Yeah.
C4-5.
So
yeah.
there's 2 of them. So it's like got 6 screws and it's got the plates that go there. So it's like, I have no problems with it at all. None.
Right. None.
Like,
yeah.
Not at
Yeah.
all. But I did. That's not the norm. I mean, I literally went around with one of those neck braces for like a year. Like, and I had to, like, when I take it off, I feel like I had a hard time breathing. So, and there was like I said, it was just one thing after another, one medical thing after another. And my family even said, they're like, "We didn't think you were going to make it, like, through all of it." Like, and I ended up jumping in at some like Bernard party, and then I gashed my leg. I'm the only one that hits a rock, of course. And like, then they think they take me to, that I'm going into septic shock or something because of my heart rate. And then they don't tell me that they're planning on taking my leg off. And I get down to Cedar Rapids and I'm like, "You do what? You think you're going to," I start pulling those heart monitors off. I said, "I would rather go with my leg than without my leg." And here it was like cellulitis. But I wouldn't, at that point, I would not go back into the hospital. I said, "You can give me antibiotics outside in there." So it took a year. I mean, like, and I had, not only that, I had some other things going on that were hereditary, that I was on antibiotics for like 6 months. And then I have to take another 6 months dose.
Good for you for taking control of your own treatment, because you know what? It's your body.
Yeah, no, really. And you don't know. It's like, whoa, I wasn't a nurse. Like, I had no clue. And you just, like, back then, I had a little bit more trust in them. But if ET did not intervene and I was not able to get off of those antibiotics and give my body a chance to heal, and whatever assistance they gave me along the way, I was jolted with like electricity. I remember, like, my precision, one of my friends came up behind me and I went, whew, like, I went from like, tumbling over to like, I got him right square in and I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't even know how that happened. It was just like, all of a sudden it was just like, whew, like I was a ninja. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I feel like I'm a ninja now. This is great. Like, I don't know what's next.
Well, we got about 20 minutes left of the show, and I want to pop in some questions from chat, if that's okay.
Oh my gosh, is this flow? Yeah, it's wonderful.
Before I do, I have to bring this up because Marquise was, of course, a previous guest on the Lightgate.
Hey,
You guys now have this awesome podcast, which I highly recommend. So how did that roll out? I mean, how did you and Marquise meet? And because he's had experiences too.
Yeah. Well, we were on Spaced Out Radio After Hours together, is how we were. And then we got broken apart. Yeah. And then me and Marquise have always had that bond. And then Helix Rock Radio reached out. And then I called Marquise. I said, "Hey, you want to get the band back together?" He's like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "You're not joking me, are you?" He's like, "Because I'm at the point." So he had just left where he was at. So we put it together within like a week's time, and we're just like, boom, we're rolling with it. So yeah, awesome. So we teach you, like, he's, really good because he, we're at two different stages in it. So it really does balance out well. So I really appreciate his perspective.
I have a feeling that this was meant to be because of the if two people needed to work together as an important entity because you had a path that you were intersecting, and it would be you and Marquise. Because the whole time I was talking to him long before, I thought, he's got to just stop. He needs to find somebody to balance him out. Right. And I started flipping stuff toward him, hoping that would help him. But then you showed up and I was like, whoop, there it is. Wow.
And what the problem was, at first they didn't like it because there wasn't enough controversy between us. I was like, we work, and we can well together. Like we balance each other out. Like we're, and that I have to agree with you. I do. And he handles it well. So it's, well, I think it's a lot like you and Preston. So you guys balance each other out really well. Like, so I definitely think I agree with you. Yeah. There wouldn't have been anybody else that I could see myself pushing forward with the show and trusting like I can Marquise. And
it's fun to watch you guys together. Got a really good energy, both of you.
Finally.
Yeah, I know. I'll even entertain myself, the whole thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, it is fun. It really is. And you enjoy it. And then two, we're not censored. We're not censored by, there's like Helix Radio is like, okay, basically the swearing, keep it down on your end. Like that's our thing. Otherwise they give us a freedom to basically do it because they don't know it probably well enough. So we don't have to censor. And that's like great,
So when do you guys air? Is it a regular thing?
Every Saturday and Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern to 12 a.m. We do the 3-hour segment. And so we've got some pretty cool guys like Preston and Dolly. And we're actually we were just planning. I'm like, I gotta get hold of them because we want to bring you on separate. Not that you're not just wonderful together, because you are, but I love it. I said, I think Dolly, I get going talking, and so
there would be no stopping. Because I want to say something. Every other thing you say, you have no idea what's going through my head over here. I'm like,
love it.
Well, the links are in the show description for people who want to find where it is, so you can find it pretty easily. But check out the show description, you can get there.
Oh yeah, definitely. You just put in, we have a group too. So if you just go to Coley and Marquise talk show group or Coley on Facebook, and we have other things lined up and set up. We're putting it in motion. Like, it happened so quickly, but I felt like it was the way that it was supposed to be. I was working in another direction with somebody on a network, and Helix Rock Radio came about. I called Marquise. I'm like, let's just do this, So it was just like, it was meant to be. It really was. So I'm
Are you ready for some questions from chat?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. First, let me pop up this very nice comment from Lunar Dove. This is an amazing guest. Please have her back on.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I love it.
Groucho Trout. Nicole comes across as very genuine to me. She keeps it real, as we say. So chat is awesome. Thank you guys.
They are chat. I love chat.
Okay. Now, here is a question from Truth Wave Energy Meditation. And I think this is back to when we were talking about, communicating with spirits. So do you need to give the entity permission in terms of talking to you?
Oh, I guess it's a catch-22. Like, I go in wanting to talk to them, like I'm going in searching for them. And when they come, they don't need, but they do. There's a certain, I always draw the white light I always say, spirits of the white light and love of God, stay with me. Spirits not of the white light and love of God, leave. I say it 3 times. And if, I always surround myself with that white light, and I always make sure that I stay in control. So
as a
they
general,
know.
Don't give entities permission ever. As a general rule, unless you know what you're doing and you're experienced at it. If you have an entity come to you and they say, you have to give me permission to interact with you, go away.
Yeah.
Like,
leave
and into the crystal cave you go. Yeah.
I told the ghost to F off, and he did. So basically, that's just.
Yeah, no, you take ownership. Like I tell people that, like I've gone through clearings of houses. I'm like, you own this house, right? Yes, I own this. No, you tell them you own this house. Not me. You tell them that. But you have to. And a lot of times when they're there, especially ones that are more negative or feeding off of that, you can see like where there's problems or there's, it's like, okay, let's maybe like depression. Let's help you get the house cleaned a little bit, feel better. Because the stronger that you are emotionally, we can get rid of this. And if you take ownership of that and you tell them to leave, like when they'd lock the church doors, like there's no other lock but the one in my neighbor's like, ooh, like she had her leg up and everything, Jenna. And I'm like, you can't lock us in here. And as soon as I say that, unlock. So it's, so you have to, like I said, you really have to take ownership with them. Do not, if I see somebody emotionally connecting too much to them or like, I'm like, go outside, take a break, clear yourself, and take a little bit of break and come back in when you're not emotionally connected. But I'm not an empath either, so I don't understand some of that, like, connectives, how they, feel that emotional intensity. I don't do that. So it's a little bit easier, I think, for me to maintain that control.
Right,
and to say that, I guess.
Right. There's more questions here. This one is actually, I think, aimed towards me from Botanical Bro. Greetings, hosts and guests. Would it be possible to do a podcast that centers around UFO encounters that take place predominantly in Africa? Oh. Sure. I will work on that. I'm doing a whole series, UFOs in your hometown. So if you want to email me and want me to cover a certain area, I can do that. Those encounters happen everywhere, just so you know. They visit every single place on this planet. Yep. Pretty much without exception. All right, moving along. This is from CT Guitar Guy 85. I have a question for Coley. Does she still have current physical contact with ET? If not, when was the last time?
I would say the last time has been probably a couple of years ago. Physical, like actual physical contact. They were ones that looked like you and I. You actually pulled a picture of one up before. They took me to a place, like I was like, it's an orange dusty planet. There's nothing much on the outside of it. I remember looking out cave doors. Like it wasn't like it was a breathing problem. Like somebody said, well, was there a blockage? No. I think that they just lived more inner earth. They were like more, kind of chummy, like cool, whatever their demeanor, they were different. I have had, but not the same type of intensity, I think. And then I was talking to Dolly about it, because a lot of times with the craft and where my focus was, like I haven't seen the craft like I was seeing. And then she kind of explained to me that wasn't occurring right now. So I was like, oh, maybe that's, part of it, but I still feel connected, very much so. And if I have a question, I know that I will get an answer to that question, or I will go into the, it will come about. And it's not like I have to wait like a month. Like, it's like, I think about something or do something, and it's like, within.
I think contact occurs as needed. Sometimes all a person needs is a simple sighting to let them know they're there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Contact. It's like, okay.
I know. It's kind of like they wean you off, it's a little bit like, and it's sad too, because it's like, man, when that's going on, it's so exciting. But now I know more about like maybe why my purpose is here, and especially connecting with Marquise and like going forward with the communication and talking to people and doing it uncensored. And it might be against, it's like now we have the opportunity. to take control of this narrative and
Right.
together. And that's why, I'm like, there's power in numbers, and
And
together,
you always know when you're on the right path. You can feel it.
you
Like,
can feel it.
This is working out.
Oh yeah. You
Yeah.
know it in your soul. I said, like, certain places that I've been, like, this hurts my soul. I can't do it. It's just like,
Right.
it's not right. So that part of me is very sensitive. So I'm very much in tune, and I've fully accepted it. At first I was like, oh God, the UFO lady. Here we go. But yeah, I love it. They know you get, and Preston, you were one that kind of brought that to my attention. You're like, but who else gets to experience? You're right. You're right. We get to experience something that not everybody will ever, get to fully. And until you have that experience, it's like life changing. It's, for me, hearing about it from my grandma to my brother to experiencing it for myself is like totally different. And I wouldn't give those experiences up for anything in the world.
Right.
So most people will tell me that. Sometimes there's a lot of fear involved in the beginning, but that's
and that's where people like Andrew Rollins and like Paul and like I just happened to stumble upon these great people that were like really understanding of it. And it like we, I felt like we built this like, thing that we just kind of got each other through it. So it was really nice.
I have a question from Andrew too. I want to get to it before we lose time. So let me pop up another. Here's a deeply philosophical one. Coley, get ready.
Andrew's.
This is from Rat Food, actually. Question for Nicole. How do you feel about the term or phrase, I am?
I am a warrior.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Okay. And here is one from Fung Pei. Thanks for the great pictures. That's what the UFOs you should. We didn't get to some of your ghost pictures and stuff. We're going to have you back on.
Oh, yeah. I'll get those pictures ready then for the next time.
She is asking, were you first contacted during early childhood?
I was contacted by that's where I think Dolly, you could probably help make more sense of this, because I always assumed it was a paranormal. So how much of it is ET or was ET or how, so I'm still a work in progress here, but that part of it, I'm really reaching out, and I think Dolly could probably answer a lot of those questions for me that I have in that point that they merge, or the karma line. Or something.
Probably just give you some pointers to help you figure it out for yourself. How's that?
That's
that's what I want you to do, because when you recapture your own memories like that, it's really you. If I say anything to you, it's not going to mean anything, and you might lose it. I want you to figure it out. So yeah, but there's a way to point you to it.
Thank you.
No.
Okay, I'm going to try and get through these all. We might have to do some high-speed answering. Let's see here. KCF is asking, what species are orange orbs, which matches the question from The Martian. What are the differences between white and orange orbs? Orbs can be spirit or ET. I'm not sure the color matters so much.
I've seen both too. I have orange and the came in two, but I don't know either. Like, I don't know if that's what that signifies, or the difference between the two. How you.
Yeah. Energy is funny. It's like your aura. It's whatever you're feeling that day is what your energy is going to be. And when ETs come, or even spirits come, whatever energy they're projecting is what you're going to see.
That's interesting.
Color has a frequency that it implies emotion or even music at times. And so you have to ask yourself, it's orange. What's going up with orange, or blue, or, and there's in your mind, you should be able to self-identify with that color anyway. They might be lifting it for you. So that's another thing.
That makes sense.
Okay, 10 more questions. I'm not sure we're going to get through them, but let's try. Why have we never seen an Indian Asian abductee? We do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we absolutely do.
I don't care what your ethnicity is on this. You're going.
Some cultures don't talk about it as much.
Right, exactly. They keep it quiet. They're very quiet.
Okay, next, and this is from Andrew, and I like this question. Andrew Rollins is asking, how can someone tell which dimension a being is from? I know humans are multidimensional. How does someone know which dimension they are in?
That's probably a question for Preston. I bet he's asking you.
I don't know. I think you can tell when someone's a very high dimension because they radiate wisdom and love and compassion, or someone's a low dimensional being because they're much more chaotic and perhaps at your level. I don't know, Dolly, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're in the third dimension. That makes you a third dimensional being. You're physically here. A fourth dimensional being is a being that is just outside of us, and they're less corporeal than we are. They're ephemeral, and you can see them. Some people call them guardian angels. Is that Ella or Trixie?
That's
Oh,
all.
I love you
Ella.
guys. Hello.
She's 14 years old. She's
Aw.
yeah. So yeah, and fifth dimensional beings have no corporeal body whatsoever. They're pure intelligence. So we all know what dimension we're in because we're here. We know we're third dimensional beings. If you've ever had the experience to go toward another dimension or have another dimensional being come at you, use your mouth, ask them or your mind, where are you from? And they will tell you. They will absolutely tell you. They'll let you know. They're chatty as all get it, just like we are. And if you ask specific questions, they will give you specific answers.
That's
All
a good
right.
point. Yeah.
Here is another question from IO or 1001. Is there any relationship between UAPs, ETs, and NDEs? Yes. I'm glad you brought this up, IOOI, because you were talking about this, Nicole. I personally
1001. It's binary.
think are really attracted to people who are psychic. This is one of the things that they're really trying to do is wake us up. So, and a person who is a contactee is bound to experience a wide variety of paranormal events because they are related. But an NDE is certainly a different thing from an extraterrestrial experience.
Yeah, it's personal. NDEs are personal. You're going somewhere and doing something other than in your body. Well, the reason mostly is that your heart stopped and you're hovering or going somewhere while you're waiting for the reentry or no reentry. People who have NDEs did reenter. You come back and you can talk about it. So that's the difference. ETs have, just like us, they are intellectual, spiritual beings. They have a higher consciousness just like we do. They have a corporeal body just like we do. And when they pass, they go to the same place we do. Absolutely 100%. They go to source. We all know each other in source. When you pass from here, you can choose to be born in their realm in the third dimension and live like that. It's we're you, you are us, we're all one. That's literally how related we are to one another in all of this. And yes, it's all related.
All right. Unfortunately, we don't really have time for all these other questions. Me,
Oh, Tim Keezy Firecat. He's my skating buddy. Yeah. Oh,
do
that's
you
so
believe there are
cool.
different types of entities, positive and negative? Let's see. Are you literally there and see it? We're talking about, can you actually trip someone during the Akashic type recording? There's a lot of questions here. We just don't have time to get
We're
to.
going to come back. We're going to try to remember these. You put it up on the screen, so we'll have an accounting of it. We'll bring it back.
Oh,
When you hear
yeah,
your
that's
body,
right.
when you go out of body, yes. I've got 20 plus cases of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have time, guys. I'm so sorry. Coley, thanks so much for coming.
Oh
on.
my gosh, it's been such an
You're
honor.
not hanging up after we get off. When we go off air, we're going to make the date, okay?
Okay, sounds
And
good.
sign out.
I'm so
Okay.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't have any more time. So do you have any last?
No, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, Chad. Oh my God, seen so many people and I'm just like, miss you guys. So nice to reconnect that they all showed
All
up.
right. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Namaste. Thank you so much. You are a lovely, generous person. Bob, thank you. You guys are amazing. Star Orchid, thank you. Lunar Dove, we love you guys all so much. Thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate it. But yes, we do have to go, and we will definitely have Nicole back.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. It was a lovely show, and we hope to have Coley back for the next one that we do with her sooner than later. And I want you all to realize that we were coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We're on Roku, we're on Facebook, and we're on YouTube. We want you all to go and have a wonderful week. Be positive. Search for your answers. Meditate. Do everything you can because it's all out there waiting for you. All you have to do is reach for it. Love you all. Mwah.
Bye,
Night, night.
guys. Thank you.